Michelle, thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
I'm a little bit late, and I was going to tell you why I've had a nightmare, why I'm late.
Why are you late?
So, I'm going to New York tonight.
You're not.
I am. We fly tomorrow morning, but I'm going tonight with my daughters. And my daughter tried to check us in online this morning. Checks me in, fine. Checks herself in, you don't have a visa. What do you mean we don't have a visa? We did it a month ago. No visa, hers didn't go through. So I've had to spend the morning trying to get her a visa. Otherwise, we're not going to New York in the morning. So she's upset, she's this. Can't believe it, Dad. So what should have cost me 21 quid has cost me 140 quid. But we got a visa in 2 hours.
Yeah, but you did it.
We did it.
You did it.
But not only that, I then had to go and pick somebody up from Hinckley to bring them back to my house to get my old car that he's going to sell for me while I'm away. So it's just been, and then you phone me like, I'm here, and he's phoning me, he says, the bus is a bit late, I'm going to be...
Yeah, but you're here now,
I'm
and you've
here
done
now.
it.
Done it.
And you're going to go on holiday tonight.
Tonight, yeah, so we've got the hotel tonight, and then we fly tomorrow morning, and there for 4 nights.
Are you excited? You're chill when you get to the airport.
Yeah, I'm the kind of person where there's so many things that have to get done up till that point that until I've got to that point,
Yeah, I get that.
I don't even think about it. So my daughter's been packed for like a week and a half. I packed this morning. I got the suitcase down, I chucked a couple of bits in, it was done. Because I knew that I still had things to do. We've got the podcast to do, we've got that to do. So when I'm on the car journey to Heathrow Airport tonight, I'll be like, okay. And breathe.
Breathe.
So, Michelle, you suck shit out of people for a living.
I do.
Don't you?
I do, and I love it.
Come a little closer. There we go.
There we go.
So you run a business, don't you?
Yes, I do.
It's called?
Eternal Being.
You can plug it as much as you want. Eternal Being in...
I'm a good
Leicester?
expert, yes.
Where is it, Leicester?
Leicester, yeah. We're in Enderby, just up the road from Chini's Italian restaurant.
You got a website?
Yes, www.eternalbeing.co.uk.
Eternalbeing.co.uk.
We've got TikTok, we've got Instagram.
Oh,
we've
have
got
you? You're on
YouTube.
everything? Oh,
Yes,
you're on all of it?
I'm
Okay.
on everything.
Well, we'll make sure we follow and everything and tag you in everything. So any of these... So once we've uploaded this, people said, would you send me the file? No, the file's like 50 gig.
Yeah.
Go onto YouTube, screen record anything you want from it and do what you want with it. Hash it, this, that, and the other. I don't even mind if you make me look like a dickhead.
I'll get my team to
Because
do
that's
it.
what I do.
I'll get my team to do it.
Yeah, use everything you want and promote it however you want, because that's what I'm all about. Let's just get people on here that have got an interesting story. And if we can get you another 10 customers, fucking let's do it.
It's educating for me. It's educating people on their health and their gut and their mental health. And a lot of people are not in tune with their gut instinct like you are, because you know that, excuse the pun, you need to get shit done. So you're not going to relax till you get to the airport and you've got a list of things. Most people get overwhelmed by everything in life and they would give up.
Yes.
Why?
I reckon you're going to tell me, aren't you?
Yeah.
I reckon
so
you're
that's
going
to
tell
do
me.
with that's to do with their gut being overloaded and their nervous system. So if you're in a fight and flight response, your nervous system is ready for that adrenaline. It's ready to move forward. Okay. Yeah. But people dealing with adrenaline 24/7, they never know how to relax, to unwind. And that has a massive penalty, a cost against their mental health, but their well-being more than anything. So when you're able to teach people how to look after themselves properly and get that balance and understand when to use the adrenaline, when not to use the adrenaline, it's fascinating. It's what people don't realise. You can store over 2 stone worth of feces inside your gut wall.
2 stone?
Over.
Of shit?
Yeah, of shit. And people's perception is that it's their food waste. It's not. Your Reuben waste, so your red blood cells, they have to be deposited. And the more stressed out you are, the more the food that you eat, the more prescribed medications or non-prescribed medications or alcohol or smoking, this has a penalty cost against our health. And it's all about balance, you know. As I call it, the 85% rule. So 85% of the time, look after yourself, have that balance, and then go and enjoy yourself like you are when you go away, you know. But obviously, I can tell you look after yourself. You train, you do, I can tell. But training for me is really important as well. So helping people understand that exercise is a massive key for mental health is a key point. But more importantly, if your gut is out of balance, this is going to affect everything that you do. Your first instinct is your gut instinct, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's your second brain, is it?
First brain for me.
First brain.
First brain. Because if this is malfunctioning, you have an emotion, a feeling first before you action something. But most people just action constantly without actually understanding what this is telling us down here when it's out of balance. They ignore their symptoms, and that's how they get chronic illnesses. And it leads into some things that we can't turn around, you know. So what we do at Eternal Being, we prevent that from happening. We get to the root cause, whether that's through gut analysis, through advanced colonic hydrotherapy. We do so much, hormone testing, DNA testing. We do everything within the clinic. So the first point of call is somebody to reach out to us, problems with their health, no matter what it is, to book in for that medical consultation. And we take it all the way back to birth, which most people are like, why? Well, this makes a massive impact on our health, okay? Whether you're a C-section baby, whether you've took antibiotics, chickenpox, measles, this affects our gut bio. Now, our gut bio is our DNA, yeah? It's fascinating. So when you start to understand that, then basically we can get to the root cause of understanding whether somebody needs a gut analysis and to understand why they're not breaking carbohydrates down, why they're not breaking proteins down, fats, or more importantly, have they got parasite inside them? And you can pick parasites up everywhere, which most people don't recognise. Or they're dealing with IBD, inflammation bowel disease, IBS, Crohn's, colitis. We also do ozone therapy in the clinic as well, which I'm very proud of that fact. There's so much that we do. I could talk on forever, you know, but it's really where you want to take this podcast. So
it's where you want to take it.
Just ask me the questions, and then I'm much better that way.
This podcast is not about me. It's about whoever's sitting there. But it's fascinating stuff. My brother's son.
Yeah.
He's been on the podcast a couple of times. He's a professional footballer now.
Yes.
Works a bit, semi-professional, gets paid a good amount, and he's a lovely lad. But he suffered from ulcerative colitis.
Yep.
And from the ages of 12 to maybe 15, medication worked, and then it flared up.
Correct.
And it did nothing. And the doctor said, we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
This could essentially kill you now. And he went from, I don't know the exact weight, but let's say he looks like he's about an 80 kilogram, 6'1", muscular, athletic guy. He looked like a skeleton. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't be anywhere that was more than 30 seconds away from a toilet, because the second he did anything, it was straight through him. Yeah. And his mum, obviously, as you do, you go to the doctors, you seek advice, and nothing was working. So she then started researching and found people online that were healing themselves by eliminating certain foods, adding certain foods in, doing things. And he's now 26 years old, and he's fully cured. He's playing football again. So what you do is actually very close to my heart, because I've seen my brother's son, who essentially has been like a brother to me as well. I'm his uncle, but it feels like I've been a brother to him. And I saw him wasting away, and the medical industry going, we've given you this steroid, we've given you that steroid. There's not really much else we can do.
So what do you think a steroid does?
I don't know.
Okay, so
I don't know.
Steroids work short term, okay, but they're addictive.
Yes.
All right, they suppress the immune system.
Yeah.
Over a long period of time, then the immune system's not going to work, or it's going to go into complete overdrive. And in this circumstance, luckily he's got through the other side and he's healed himself. You know, he now knows and understands his body better than any other person out there. And that's what we do, okay? We scientifically find the results. So, for instance, he would be classed as IBD, inflammation bowel disease, okay? Yes. So we would check basically through your poo, your poo, through your feces, your saliva, and then we send that off to basically our labs that are over.
Just move your chair a little bit that way.
That way?
So that I don't want anybody to not be able to hear.
Okay.
So perfect.
Yeah. So then basically we can then see exactly what's going on.
Yes.
And by doing that, then you know exactly the things, what you should be eating, not eating, but more importantly, what's missing, okay? And what gut bacteria you've got to put back into the gut, all right? Especially if somebody's had food poisoning, for instance. So if somebody's had food poisoning several times and they've had courses of antibiotics, it destroys the gut bio.
Does it I've heard it takes 6 months after a course of antibiotics for your gut biome to get anywhere near where it was before.
That's if you put the right things back in again.
Is it? And most people aren't.
Correct.
And most people think going and buying an Actimel or a Yakult from
Don't get started on
Tesco's
that one.
is it's just marketing shit,
Yeah,
though,
it
isn't
is.
it?
Yeah, it is.
Sugar-filled
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. And what does sugar do? It feeds the gut bacteria in a bad way.
Okay.
So that feeds candida, which means that yeast and fungus overgrowth is in there. And that's how we get chronic illness and disease. End of. Every patient that comes to us, when you see an influx of candida, this can lead into something called the death cell. And it won't just feed off yeast and sugar, it will then feed off carbohydrate and proteins. This is where we're in the danger zone, okay?
Right.
This leads into chronic illness. And if you don't prevent that from happening, then awful conditions happen, which I won't name because we don't need to, all right?
Yeah.
But what we can do is we can prevent that from happening. People don't realise the rubbish that they're putting into their bodies. Especially in the United Kingdom, it's quite difficult for people, and especially the younger generation now. They're eating, junk food all the time. Like, where do you go now that you can get a fresh meal? A fresh meal, like somewhere you think that's going to be fresh. And if you ask them the one question, is there yeast and sugar in this food? No, it's always dairy, isn't it? It's always wheat. It's always gluten. Has anybody asked, is there yeast and sugar in my food? A majority of the time, they won't know.
And it's in everything.
Yeah. If it's not fresh, if you're not making a fresh sauce and doing it yourself, most packet sauces or sauces when you go out and about are full of it.
Yes.
Full of it.
Yeah.
And that creates illness. Now, it's like anything, it's moderation. So, for instance, if somebody's had a course of antibiotics and they've been poorly and they keep recurring having those antibiotics and steroids and all the other bits and pieces, this will affect basically their immune system, which means then things die off and other things grow. So if you think of your gut as an ecosystem, it's an amazing ecosystem, okay? And it needs to have balance. Too much of one thing will outbalance something else and something else will die off. Mm-hmm. So how do you expect by eliminating something out of your diet, that's going to be the answer? It's not. It's going to be a short-term fix because it'll be something else. So it's important to understand and to look and see somebody that actually knows what they're doing and they're qualified to be able to get those answers for you. And you can just see that with our reviews, on our website, but on Google. And, we've been doing this a long time, I came into my field, I was a probation officer. So I used to deal with high profile crime, and I came into my industry because I was seriously ill. I would go anything up to 4 to 6 weeks without going to the toilet.
Really?
Yeah.
For a poo?
Yeah.
4 to 6 weeks?
Yeah. I was really, really, really ill. If you look back on the history of what happened to me, I was put on laxatives from a young age, then antidepressants, then basically painkillers. My dosage was ridiculous. And then it came to the stage that I was so ill, I tried to take my life twice through mental health. So mental health is very, very passionate to me, to understand the gut can rule everything. And, as I call it, I'm neurodiverse. I wear these glasses. I call it's my magical powers. I'm a little bit different. Like when I came in here, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is definitely my cup of tea.
Because we're a bit different.
Yeah, and I like that. I that. I see the world in a very different way. But when you start to understand gut bio and how it affects your mental health and affects autism, and you see autistic children being given crap food, their behaviour is going to be 10 times worse. They're unintuned with themselves. So this is why understanding what you need to do is to have healthy bowel movements 2 or 3 times a day, and you go out on the toilet, you're like, wow, that was amazing. So you've had a poo orgasm. It's just the best feeling in the world. And it's such a taboo subject.
Yeah.
It makes me smile.
People are more inclined to be able to talk about sex now than they are going through shit.
Yeah, and it's so important. And it's a British thing. It is such a taboo subject. And for me, it's eradicating that. In Eternal Being's world and my legacy that's going to be left, I believe that nobody in this world needs to be suffering with IBS or IBD. End of. If you understand how your gut is working with a fantastic practitioner, you can find, because everybody's different.
Yes.
You can't compare yourself to your husband, your wife, your son, daughter. Okay, you're all completely different. So when you start to work that out, and it's like a jigsaw puzzle's on the floor, and I start to put all the jigsaw puzzle together, that's where the magic happens. And the person's like, wow, okay, well, I was stressed before eating. So if you're stressed before eating, what do you think's happening in your gut? Your gut is switched off. It has to work in something called parasympathetic nervous system. So, as I call it, the sexy caterpillar, all right? So if you look at my bicep, it needs to move like that sexy caterpillar. Well, when you're in a fight and flight response and you're dealing with Crohn's and all the other bits, it's inflamed. So you've got to reduce the inflammation. You've got to get them out the fight and flight response. And that's what we do at Eternal Being. We get people guts relaxed. We retrain the bowel. Depending on the condition, there'll be different recommendations that we'll recommend, whether that's ozone, whether that's advanced colony hydrotherapy, whether it's got analysis, hormones, DNA. It varies. And then also, I went into my other side of things, into my naturopathic medicine, and I have all my own range as well. So we have all our own patches. So our patches we have for menopause, prostate, sex, CBD as well, because I'm a CBD specialist as well. Our balms, our sports range as well. And focus, energy. I do so much. So I incorporated that all within Eternal Being, because what I was seeing coming into the clinic. And I love working with kids. I love it. Because now the problem that we have in schools, children are being controlled whether they go toilet or not.
Yes, they are.
And it needs to stop.
I've worked in primary schools.
It needs to stop.
Can I go to the toilet? No.
Yeah.
Wait until break time or whatever.
Yeah, so what happens then when you're told to hold it? What happens emotionally and physically in your body? So what happens is the child will then either go very introverted into themselves, or they become erratic, because they don't know what's going on, or they have an accident, which is even more devastating and traumatic for a child. And what happens with them in later life? They start holding their bowel movement, all right, which then can stop your bowel from working. The more you stop your bowel from working, the more lazier your bowel will get.
Right. I can remember, while we're talking about shit,
yeah.
I can remember being in primary school and not wanting to go for a poo at school.
Yeah, holding it.
And holding it in.
Yeah.
And holding it in all day and then going home.
And rushing into the toilet.
Yeah. You've trained yourself to just go at 3:15 or 4 o'clock.
Yeah, but the problem with that is you've stretched your bowel inside.
Yes.
Okay? So what do you think happens to the condition of the bowel?
Deteriorates.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Hitting the mic, sorry there. But, and over long periods of time, alongside everything else that might be happening environmentally, dealing with stress in your life, a relation breakup, or, you've had a child, or you're moving house, can you see what happens? It's mental, and we ignore it all the time. So for me, it's helping people understand, especially with children and especially with the schools, how important it is. When a child says they need to go to toilet, let them go to toilet. The kids that are going to be mucking about.
Yes.
But also the other thing I would say is sometimes you lose your slot. So you go to the toilet, a little bit comes out, child has a drink or you have a drink, and you're like, oh my God, I need to go again. And they're stopped from going.
Yeah, because they've already been,
When they're babies, we want to know about the nappies.
Yeah.
Weeing, pooing.
Yes.
Why is it when we get older, we get conditioned? And for me, it's about re-educating people, not conditioning people. and them understanding how their bowel works. And that for me is a key point, because you're seeing young girls, especially if they've started their period and they're going up to secondary school, which is nervous enough as it is, and they're not allowed to go out of the classroom to go to toilet, to change, or if they're late for the class, they'll get a detention. Why? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, trying to control children in that way.
I mean, I guess playing devil's advocate,
Yeah.
because I totally agree with you, there has to be an element of how disruption and disruptive multiple people going in and out and in and out and in and out can be. And there will always be those children that are just doing it for the sake of doing it because they don't want to be in the class. So I get that.
But then I'm going to throw it in there. So if they don't want to be in the class, why do they not want to be in the class?
Because school's boring.
Right? So
For most people, isn't it?
So-
You're being taught
so-
things you're not interested in.
So the stimulation.
Yep. Yes.
So we're not getting to the root causes
No,
of
absolutely
stuff.
not. But why are doctors not on your level in these areas? It's
Because
crazy,
they're not
isn't it?
taught naturopathic medicine.
No.
You know, I find it fascinating that people don't understand the nervous system. It's basic. Fight and flight, rest and digest. They can't both work at the same time. When you go to eat your food, and if you're in a fight and flight response, you will get bloated. Your digestion system's switched off. People get overweight because their body's already inflamed and they're emotionally eating. Emotionally eating, you're going to put weight on. It's quite simple. Yeah? But you've got to look at the conditioned behaviour behind that.
Yeah.
That, to me, there's a thought first.
It's weird you say that because I've been a tennis player. I'm still a tennis coach now, but
Yeah.
I was a tennis player for 15 years. And I could never think of anything worse than trying to eat after I'd just finished a tennis match. Never hungry. You
wouldn't even think about it.
Wouldn't even think about it. And that's because during that tennis match, you are anxiety, adrenaline, fight. You're essentially
Ready
you're
for
in
attack.
Yes. And yeah, so it's interesting you say that because, but I also knew people that as soon as they finish can go and easily eat. But for me, no chance could I even contemplate eating.
But it has
Takes a
long-term
while.
effects later on. Does that make sense?
What, the not eating afterwards or trying to eat?
Trying to eat.
Yeah.
Trying to eat. Because remember what you just said, you're in a fight and flight response.
Yes.
So adrenaline's took over. Your digestion system switched off.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's important to understand that and give your time to calm down.
Yeah.
To relax.
Yeah.
By relaxing, then you're in the present moment with your food. You'll produce 1.5 litres of saliva a day if you are in the moment with your food and you chew it. But most people are looking at a computer or they're reading an email and it stressed them out and they're ramming it down.
Yes.
Ramming it down.
Yes.
Like if you say to somebody, what have you eaten today? And they go, oh, I've just had a couple of snacks. But when you actually break it down, most people don't know the amount that they're eating.
No.
Or drinking.
No.
Which I find astonishing. Even if it's a sweet, you've put food in your mouth. So,
But it happens automatically and it's unconscious, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's unconscious. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about this now. I had a sandwich, a chicken salad sandwich.
Yeah.
On the way from one thing to another, stressed out, can hardly eat it, driving the car.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
But I'd not eaten and I was hungry.
Yeah.
And that was my only opportunity to
So
do it.
in them circumstances, you can be much better.
Not eating.
Not eating, but are you actually thirsty?
Maybe. Yeah,
Are you
maybe.
dehydrated?
Maybe.
So hydrate first. Hydration is a massive key. Make sure you're hydrated. If you're hungry after the hydration, then maybe having something that's liquid form, like a soup or something, would be much, much, much better, The glucose index in that. So it's slow releasing glucose index. It's quicker to go in the blood system. You'll be fuller for longer compared to eating the chicken sandwich because you'll be tired later, with no doubt, okay? Because you'll have an adrenaline dump straight down. And then you'll want to crave something or grab a coffee or, you can see how this vicious circle starts to happen with people, and they just don't think about it. And, you know, they think that when they've got this around them, that this is fat. Well, if it's distended, fat's jiggly wiggly. Fat distended, that's fermentation of gases and yeasts inside your gut wall, which is pretty grim, really, if you think about it. So when you start to release that away, you're like, wow. You know what it feels like when you go for a good poo.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
It's magnificent.
It is magnificent.
Do you know the best poos? The best poos are the ones where you don't think anything's coming out, and you sat there and you don't really feel anything. And then all of a sudden you feel, plop, and you look down and it's this long. And it looks like the fucking Loch Ness Monster, and you're like,
elephant poo.
I didn't even know where... Didn't even feel it coming out because it was obviously, I don't know, so smooth and just and they're the best.
Yeah, that shows that you've had enough. You've been hydrated, enough soluble fibres as well, or some people soluble fibres as well. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Some will be better with others, and you've been relaxed.
Yeah.
And you've got it out. Everybody knows what a nervous poo is.
Oh.
You know, I had a nervous poo before coming in. I'm being honest, I did. I was a bit like, I'm unsure what to expect.
Do?
Yeah. You know, but I felt better.
And what's the biological reasoning for them nervous poos? Because I would have always had one before a tennis match.
Yeah. That's your adrenaline.
I used to have one before I used to go clubbing.
Yeah, I get that. We're similar of age, so yeah.
Yeah, you know, fucking hell.
It's excitement. Excitement.
Yeah.
So the leftover poo that's down in your sigmoid colon has decided that it wants to come out. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to have a good time. That's why, like, before going out, when I used to be in my clubbing days, I would work out before going out clubbing because I knew I'd feel better.
Yeah.
Because you feel better in your own skin.
Yes.
You know. So yeah, it's that nervous poo, but it was a nervous poo, not a diarrhea poo. There's a difference.
Yes.
Explosion bum.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No.
That's bad. And if people see, you know, spots of blood and stuff like that, you need to seek medical advice for that, or see a gut expert like ourselves, and we can find out those reasons because we do all the tests. We do cancer screening within the clinic as well. You can see all of that on our website. So
what's that through? Is that just through the feces testing, or is that through DNA, or all of it?
All of it. Yeah, all of it.
Wow.
We can see when somebody's in submission as well. So
what does that mean?
So when somebody's basically they've had cancer and they've had their all clear, and we want to check that they're still in submission. So there's still everything's
clear.
okay. Yeah. We can check all levels of cancers within the clinic.
Wow. So tell me about the process of this colonic irrigation, because I've never had it. I don't know anybody that's ever really had it.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two people possibly, but they don't go into detail.
Well, they should go into
Do you just
detail.
shove a pipe up their bum and then
No,
flush it
Dynarod
out?
doesn't come out now.
No.
And we don't get a jet wash out now. So first point of call, obviously have to have a medical consultation. We go through full medical history. That's a key point, and then we'll be able to advise them whether they are suitable and what type of colonic as well. And then basically for your first experience at Eternal Being, obviously everything's online, and you call us, your forms and that are emailed across, and then we welcome you in. And then you're either given a herbal tea or a fizz stick beforehand.
Or what, a fisting?
Fizz stick.
I thought she said a fucking fisting, James. I was like...
No, I didn't say that.
Sign me up.
No.
Oh, what, a fizz stick?
Fizz stick.
What is that?
So that's got Siberian ginseng, B vitamins, and that to give you energy. So we get the patient nice and relaxed, okay? And then basically we welcome into the treatment room. They're desperate for a wee when they come in, which is quite normal
or
because.
A poo.
Well, no, because they're normally it's weird. They're like either people that are constipated, they'll go toilet on that morning or afternoon or that evening, or somebody that does they do go to toilet, they're like, I can't go. See the difference in the nervous systems.
Yes.
So it's interesting. So then we welcome into the treatment room. We go through everything with them. They have their own ensuite bathroom. Majority of people go, it's very posh here, isn't it? And I'm like, yes, it is very nice. And then basically they will be explain what they need to do. They need to go to the bathroom, empty their bowels or for a wee. And then basically I demonstrate what they need to do. I get on the bed and show them their sexy disposable pants to put on, and then they have a lovely blanket to go over the top of them, disposable slippers, dressing gown. And then basically I leave them to get ready. Then I prepare whether I've got a liver wrap or a CBD implant, or depends on what they're, having. And then, or hot water bottle. And then I come back into the treatment room, and then I explain to them how the procedure is going to happen. I do breath work with my patients, and to see what the nervous system is actually doing. I can see a lot when I get people to breathe, because most people don't know how to breathe properly.
No.
And then we then go through, make them laugh, make them giggle, have a sense of humour, and then basically we get on with the procedure basically, and then they feel amazing afterwards.
Which is what I want to know, what the procedure is.
So what do you want to know? Like the insertion bit,
no,
or
what happens? What, you just pump them full of water? What
right,
happens?
Okay, so you've got an inlet pipe and an outlet pipe.
Yes.
Okay, so a speculum that goes into the body, that's how much goes in, that's it, all right? Yeah, not what everybody thinks, all right?
Just 2 knuckles, it's fine.
There's not 2 knuckles, that would scare the living shit out of me. No, there's no 2 knuckles. And then we get them to breathe and exhale. On the exhale, basically that's the insertion bit, they can't feel anything. They're like, is that it? And I'm like, yeah, that's it. And then we have a bit of a giggle. Then I attach the waste pipe onto the other end. The inlet pipe's already on there.
Yeah.
It's already attached to medical grade colonic therapy machines. I'm very proud of that fact. So basically, I will put basically the water on, and we have different flows, different temperatures. I do everything by hand as well. So we do paracelsin on the pipe. Look at me as your plumber.
Yes.
All right. So when a radiator is not working properly, what do we have to do? We have to bleed it.
Yeah.
I bleed the colon. So I break the gas down.
But my massage?
No, on the pipe.
Oh.
Yeah. And then basically you'll see they can watch as well, which is really exciting bit. Can watch it coming out, and they're like, oh my God, seriously? And your tummy will basically go up and go down, okay? When we get to gas lock, I have to release that gas lock out. Then I'll do a fill. I know when to empty that fill. So there's a lot of people out there that are not our level, our qualification basically. So I know when to release someone. What I release is basically, as I call it, the gravy train. I get very excited. And that's where a load of toxins will dump out of the colon, and the person feels absolutely amazing. And that's when I'll go, we're going to have a moment with each other. It's a bit of a goosebump moment, experience that you wouldn't really have with many people. And they're like, oh my God, Michelle, this is it's a bit like being on a roller coaster and thinking, why am I on this roller coaster? And then you get to the side, and I want to do it again. That was amazing. Basically, I sculpt people's tummies and make them feel better. Like they disappear. Like I say, the most we've lost in one treatment is £9. In one treatment alone.
£9 of shit. And you see, years and years ago, I used to work in Tesco's, and I used to work on the meat counter.
Yeah.
And if somebody came and asked, so a pound is, 2.2 kilos is a kilo is 2.2 pounds. So half a kilo of meat is about a pound. And half a kilo of meat on them scales is a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
So £9 of shit.
So imagine losing, when you next go to your next bowel movement, losing that, how amazing you would feel. Clarity of thought, goosebump moment, as I call it.
You feel lighter.
Yeah, you feel lighter. You're able to sleep better.
Yeah.
Your concentration, your skin. I deal with a lot of sports people within the clinic, so they will want to do this before they've got a big event, for instance. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm competing next Sunday powerlifting contest, so competition. So I will be doing 2 colonics myself this week to make sure, again, I'm hydrated and get rid of the toxins that will be inside me, because I'm nervous, mm-hmm. And I know that it won't all come out. So to clear it all out, to get to the ecal flush here, that means that I will be better prepared, concentration, focus, determined, and just be amazing at what I'm able to do and be able to have that focus instead of having self-doubt, if that makes any sense. So you're able to just feel better, full stop. And that's why people do it. They feel so much better. You just got to go back to Princess Di all those years ago, you know.
Was she an advocate for it?
Yes,
Was
massively.
she? Was she? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And, you know, when you start to help people that can't go to toilet, or they're getting unfinished business, or just the athlete that is going to toilet regularly, but they've got a massive increase of protein or stress, they're like, well, why am I feeling
lethargic and a bit
tired,
energy levels?
Or they've got problems with their sleep, you know?
Yeah.
Because your sleep's improved by 85%.
By getting one of these, clearing all this shit out.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Wow.
You have the deepest sleep, like waking up the following morning, like, is it a school day? You know, you just feel better. And you're preventing from illness and disease in the long run.
Yeah.
Because if we see anything in a treatment, we're going to be the first people to be telling you.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And when you've got somebody...
It's like taking your car for a service, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. I deal with a lot of dementia and Parkinson's. And when you see a Parkinson's patient on the bed and they stop shaking because you're releasing the toxin, that's pretty amazing. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you get into it?
Into what
you're
I
doing?
did.
Because, you know, you're talking about people that are thinking about careers and whatnot. How on earth do you get into that line of work? How do you even start that business? Where's that thought come from?
So, well, for me, my thought process was basically it was down to my best friend that's 15 years older than me, and I'd come out of a place and they were selling me all this stuff, and she was like, you need a bit of red in you do. Like saying yes to everything, because I was desperate. I was literally desperate. They wanted to
because of
rip
your
my
mental
colon.
health and your...
Because I wasn't going to toilet, you know? I wasn't going. You know, when you can't go to toilet and you're a PT, and before you go and teach, you've got, excuse being so crude, but you've got a poo stock and you've got blood followed in the toilet, and you've got to go and teach a triple class, and you've already done a full day at probation. As a probation officer, it's proper hardcore, yeah? So I was in a bad way, and literally that's when she said to me about colonic hydrotherapy, and that's where I met Sue. I went for my first treatment, and she just, a bit like you, changing rooms and stuff and everything, got there, and basically things weren't operating, so I had to come back the following day, and it changed my life. And when I say it changed my life, it changed my life. I felt alive again. I couldn't believe how possible it could be that somebody could just take all my pain away just like that.
Wow. And how long ago was that?
Well, I'm 45 now.
Yeah.
So that would have been when I was 19.
God.
Yeah. A long time ago. Before internet was a big thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're Generation X.
It was just about coming out when we were 19, was it? Because I'm 45 as well.
Yeah.
And I can remember being at college and them talking about the internet and www.this and emails.
Yeah.
When we would have probably been around about 17, 18. So so it wasn't a thing. No.
Yeah. And so it changed my life. So, and Sue, who used to own Inner Detox, she had her business in London and in Leicester, and she used to come up and treat me, and I was in a real bad state. I'll never forget, it was a Wednesday and it was at 6:00, and I had a huge migraine coming on, and it was because of my gut, and I was dealing with a lot of stress at the time in my work and relationship, and that's when she said to me, why don't you train in this? And I was like, what? How can I? How's that possible? And because of all my existing qualifications and so on, she introduced me to Galena Ingham, and she was at the Wellbeing Centre in Minehead, and that was the start of everything, really. It took me nearly 7 years to get up to the level that I am now. So I started off with the foundation colonic hydrotherapy, then moved up to intermediate, then advanced naturopathic medicine, phlebotomy, you name it. So I've added an ozone, and I've added on, and I've made the eternal being way. That's the difference. So what I would say to people is the industry's changed dramatically. positive and negatively.
Yeah, of course.
And for me, it's about changing that. And that's what I'm willing to do, and what my plan is for the future is changing that and educating people in my line of work and having a teaching school. So that's what our plans are, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So for me, because people have retired and they don't do the training now, I'm international trained. So there's a very one way of thinking, and I want to change all of that. To be in this field, you've got to be passionate.
Yeah.
You've got to be in it for the right reasons. And it's not about quick fixes. It's about getting to the root cause of gut health. It's not about just going having a colonic because it's fashionable and you can lose a few pounds. It's a lot more than that, you know. So for me, if you're wanting to get into this field, reach out to us. And we'll be able to guide you in the right direction with the right people out there and the right federations. I'm part of the Complimentary Medical Association. I'm one of the fellowship of it. So I'm very proud of what they did for us in the lockdown period, because we changed everything in the lockdown period. And
In what aspect?
So helping the government understand an amazing journalist, Mary Ann Rouge, who was part of the BBC, interviewed me, and she changed everything for me.
Did she?
Yeah, she did. And we fought in the House of Commons, and on that 7th of July, 2020, the Complimentary Medical Association fought about what mental health and stuff was and guidelines and stuff like that. So I was able to work with people remotely on Zoom and so on, which changed everything to educate people. Yeah. And that's what I did. So I could work in other ways, which was fantastic, because suicide rate was massive at that particular time. Yeah. Massive. Yeah. And to educate people on gut health and the right things to be doing was a key point, and that's what I did, and changed the way that people thought about gut health instead of thinking it's just here, you know. And that's what we did, and I've just kept going, and you know, on this movement forward to change people's thought process when it comes to mental health, because they just think it's all here. All your hormones are transmitted in your gut wall.
Is serotonin or dopamine created in the gut, or partly? I don't know if it completely
Correct.
is, which people don't realise.
Correct.
So you can be sad and depressed because of what's going on down
Correct.
there. And that is, I think it's becoming a little bit more mainstream, that people are starting to think about that. And, you know, clearly the big supermarkets and whatnot jump on the bandwagon, because you can go in there and there's gut health this, gut health that, kefir this, kefir that. But it's mainly bullshit, isn't it? I guess there are some decent things out there. Fermented foods are very good for your gut, aren't they?
Yeah,
sauerkraut and
prebiotics are
like
fantastic, you know. But what you need to be careful is if, for instance, if you've got a yeast overgrowth, a candida, you need to know what it is, so you can make things worse by having certain foods.
Yes.
Yeah, so like ruling out foods, like people want these quick fixes. It doesn't happen. Just having an intolerance test, it doesn't happen. Hair strand test, don't get me started on that one. But, you know, it needs to be through bloods, you know.
Hair strand test, no good.
No good. You need to see it in blood, end of.
Yeah.
The same with looking at your gut bacteria. It needs to be your feces. And saliva in your mouth, you know, hormones, wee, blood, you know, continuous. You need to see the medical evidence there. And by testing too much, that's wrong as well, you know. People then go for something like stock off the shelf, and they see it on the internet all the time. Oh, just buy this test. It'll cover you all these different areas. And I see that, and people come to me, and they're overwhelmed. They've got all these supplements in a bag, and I'm like, oh, my God. You don't need to be taking half of these things. Little is more. So we start off with small steps, and then we work up, you know. So having the right type of foods is a real key point. And also, you know, understand what your trigger foods are. So if something's made you feel in a certain way, was it because you were stressed at the time? Were you bloated at the time? Have you been to toilet? If you have, well, it might be not a trigger food then, you know. Like FODMAPing. I'm not a massive one for FODMAPing either.
Which is what? Explain it.
So basically the nightshade families and so on, by having certain foods in the diet, this will encourage the body for having it. The NHS do it quite a lot. And it's like, I'll just do this. I see a dietitian and she tells me these foods to be having. In actual fact, it's actually made them 10 times worse.
So they're just giving you a list of things that are fairly generic.
Correct.
And they're not giving you things that are based on what you actually need.
Correct.
And what you actually don't need.
Yeah.
They're just going 5 veg and fruit a day, and these are really good. And,
yeah.
There's been a few studies over in Japan that says that kimchi is really good for you. So now everybody's got to have kimchi.
Yeah.
Or whatever it might be.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because I deal with a lot of people in the NHS who are amazing and they have treatments with me. And, you know, they're stuck with certain rules and it's not their fault.
No.
It's not their fault.
No.
There's some, you know, the NHS is amazing, but they're stuck at the minute, you know, and that's why people are seeking help, as you've seen, to get added help and support elsewhere. Both worlds work in harmony with each other if we only allowed it. And we become humble as well. Not knocking another field when people don't actually know about it. Understand where your expertise stop is a key point for me as well. And if we're unsure about anything, we're just honest with people. You know, we deal with shit for a living, for God's sake. So, like, you can't lie.
No,
you know,
can't lie.
You know, you've got to make somebody feel comfortable and feel relaxed within their environment and open up, because a lot of people are holding a lot of emotional baggage as well.
So you're a bit of a psychologist, psychiatrist
therapist.
as well. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a therapist.
It's not strange, but it's poignant that you should say that. I've had a few people on here. I had a guy on last week called Stephen Kirby, and he's a motivational speaker, goes around the world talking about an accident that he had at work that should have killed him, that didn't, and then after that suffered massive PTSD and depression.
Yeah.
And he's got out of it. And we were both saying, it's amazing how many people reach out to me and him and tell us everything, and we're complete strangers. They've never said any of this kind of stuff to their family, friends, husband, wife, mum, dad. Yet there's some bloke on the internet that was suicidal and has gone through a load of shit and found a way out of it, and they're ready to open up. And you obviously find the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
10 minutes in, you've massaged your stomach, shoved a pipe up their arse, and they're telling you about childhood traumas and the marriage is shit. It's unbelievable.
I can tap in. I know when to tap in.
Yeah.
What right things to say at
Yes.
particular times.
Yeah.
You can't lie in a treatment, put it that way, because
No.
I'll know straight away.
Yeah.
And for me, it's about making that person feel good and letting them have their time.
Yeah.
You know, it's a journey and experience, enjoyable. So, you know, most people are absolutely bricking it when they're coming in, or they're really excited and they're like hopping through the door next time, you know, which is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, you know, to give somebody some time in that crazy world out there, to actually have some clarity of thought, to be able to release their emotions and what's going on with them, or just have a good giggle, you know, or understand, oh, you know what, I'm sure I've messed up. You know what, I drank 2 bottles of red wine and I've done this and done that. Shall I get an IV at the same time, shall I?
It's funny you should say that, because I went to London just after Christmas with one of my daughters, and we went to the Westfield shopping centre.
Yeah.
And right in the middle of the Westfield shopping centre, you've got people holding IV drips up. And I was like, what on earth's going on there? And then you've got the big price list there. You've got a vitamin one, after you've been drunk, whatnot. And it was just in the open, just like where you see people getting their nails or their eyebrows threaded or something. Just in the middle of a fucking shopping centre.
Yeah. Which I have a problem with.
I think I do as well.
I have a massive problem with it because what testing have you done to see what vitamins they need?
No, it's just, this is the generic one, this is a vitamin one, this is the tropical whatever it's called, and this is for rehydration, and they just pay the 200 quid and sit there and hold this.
And that's why I have a problem with certain things that have happened over the years and still happening in certain areas and stuff like that, where that is happening and there needs to be a shutdown on that, because that shouldn't be happening, because you know, you could kill someone. You literally could kill someone.
And you're putting an
You're doing an
intravenous
IV. You're
in
doing
the middle
an
of a
IV.
shopping centre,
Yeah.
and these people didn't look, you know, they may have been nurses or whatnot, but they just look like casual
What if that person's had
clothes
breast
and-
cancer? They shouldn't be going in that arm. Are they asking these questions?
I don't know.
You know?
I do not know.
That's why, you know, having the medical information there is a key point, you know? If you're just going, it's like me just get machines and going, like, I would never dream of doing
yourself
anything
down
like
high
that.
cross
I'll
and-
plug you in, off you go. You know, I wouldn't have a problem doing a live treatment on me.
There.
But
Might be a business model. Mobile colonics.
Yeah. Well, like, you say that. I used to have a mobile machine. I did used to have a mobile machine.
You'd go to people's houses and do it?
No. So in the early days, I've had different machines over the years, and the machines I've got now are just cool.
Amazing.
They are.
And I
They're
bet
awesome.
they're fucking expensive,
They
aren't
are.
they?
They're very sexy looking.
Are
They're
they?
awesome. Yeah, they're gorgeous. But yeah, the mobile machine that I used to have different premises that I used to rent space at. So I'd have all the plumbing work and that all set up, and I used to plug my
Machine in.
while heavily pregnant and loading upstairs, and in the early days, I had 4 jobs to set up my business up. So pure graft and
So
passion.
you were PTing?
PT, I was a probation officer.
Probation officer, yes.
Yeah. And then I was doing, for the PT side of things, I was working at all the clubs. I was also doing attendance centre for the police as well. Then I was also a youth worker as well for Burley Community College, and a detached worker around the streets. And at one stage I was working at Hammond's as well was it Rackham's? It was Rackham's, wasn't it?
Rackham's.
God, all them years ago.
It was Rackham's.
Yeah. So I was working around the clock, all my different jobs.
Yes, that's a
And I worked in
unlocked
hostels
memory.
as well. So
you're a grinder and a grafter.
I've funded everything myself. So yeah.
Why do you work so hard?
Because I believe in what I do. I could possibly not be here. End of. You know, I didn't want to live anymore. Simple as that. So when it changes...
Because of the bowel condition?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So at 19...
How would you feel if somebody said they were going to take your bowel away? And it's all right just to keep taking the medication. It's horrific. It's horrific. And then being slightly different to everybody else as well. I was angry. I was very angry. My work gave me purpose. Gave me massive purpose. It was my identity. But then when you're so poorly and you're having to get through life by just being on prescribed medication, whether that's antidepressants, with painkillers, migraines, you come back from work and you just collapse. And then also being in a crap relationship as well. But I had to discover who I was. And I had to go through that pain to get through the other side and meet some amazing people that believed in me, so much so that I believed in myself. And I got through the other side. And I'm very, very, very grateful for those people that have imprinted on my heart and helped me see what I am and what I believe that everybody that I do and I walk into their life that I'm able to do for them. And that's important for me, you know? So for me, somebody coming into the clinic it's 110%. I give them everything. Whatever you've got going on in your outside world, you close off from it. There's not many places that you can go that they can honestly say that, you know? So I care massively. And, you know, not everybody's suitable for everybody either, you know? If I feel that I can't work with somebody, I'm honest about it. I'd rather not, you know? People have to be ready, and there's the purpose of what they're coming for and their expectations as well, to make sure that we can reach those expectations. About being realistic. As I say, it's like one of my patients said to me the other day, she went, Michelle, I was at work. This was actually yesterday. I was at work and, you know, I'm not meant to hold my bowel, am I? And I went, no. And she went, I was getting the sweats. I was getting the sweats and I needed to go into a meeting. And I went, what did you do? And she went, I went all the way up to the 3rd floor and I went and did it. I did it. I knew that nobody would be going into that toilet, but she goes, oh my God, did I feel bad? And she knew that I wouldn't tell her off. Like, it wasn't that I'd tell her off, but I was in her head saying, don't do it. You know what you're the repercussions of it all. And that how, I find that funny.
Yeah.
But it's made her feel better.
Of course.
So, yeah.
So what you've obviously gone through is trauma.
Yes, massive.
Yeah? I've had a few people on recently that are trauma therapists and hypnotherapists and, all
we
of
have
these
all
type
of that
of
in the
things.
clinic
Do
as
you?
well.
Do you?
Yeah, people that work in the clinic, yeah.
But I've said to all of them, and I'll ask you the same thing.
Yeah.
Do you think the world would be better without any trauma? Do you think your life would be better without all of the shit that you've gone through?
No, because I wouldn't be who I am.
You wouldn't.
So I'm thankful. I'm thankful for all those dickheads out there. Sorry, everybody, but I'm being honest. Those people that have been mean and cruel and nasty and have said no to me, that gives me fire.
Mm-hmm.
That gives me fire. But I needed to get to rock bottom.
Yep.
And it's a real balancing act. And that's why I train the way I do, and exercise the way I do, because it gives me back to release that pain. And when you're high functioning autistic as well, I've realised with what I've had to go through with my son, with seeing these amazing professors, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't actually know that. That is me in a nutshell. So yeah, knowing what right and wrong is, and I believe in the right, and being honest. Honest is the best way, whether it hurts or not. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
Tell the truth.
If you can't tell the truth, at least don't lie.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Peterson says that. And it's, truth will set you free. But if you can't tell the absolute truth, don't lie about it.
Yeah. People allow their egos get to, you need to have ego to protection. But also, you know what? Is it being honest? Is it being honest?
There's a, the lady that a couple of times ago, was it Hannah Jago. She brought a book in with her that I've also read, and after she's come in, I've downloaded the audiobook to listen to it again. Yeah. And it's called Outwitting the Devil, and it's fantastic. And
I love that title, because you know what I say to people close to me. I said, I get tests every single day. The devil's telling me to do that. I'm not doing it. You listen to this book. So I'm going to love it. You listen to that book, and it's written by a guy called Napoleon Hill back in the 1930s, and it wasn't published until 2011 because it was deemed as too controversial. And essentially, it's an interview. The whole book is an interview between a man and the devil. And the devil has to answer his questions. And it's to and fro-ing, and it's really good as the audio book. But he goes into all of the things that you're thinking, God, it's the devil's releasing his ideas and how he controls the world and people. And I'm not this person with a pitchfork and horns. No, it's not. I'm just an energy. Yes. And I'm there every step of the way, and I want you to take drugs, and I want you to drink alcohol, and I want you to smoke, because then you're not a free thinker. You're not... Suppress them. Yes. And it is amazing. Yeah. And it's so relevant now. You're thinking, God, this was written in the 1930s, and it's... Yeah, it's so amazing. If you think about it, I make people awake again. Yes. I reconnect people to their soul. Yes. Yeah. I know that's, deep, but I am a deep person. So, obviously, first patient, we won't go all that depth, It's like, I can scare people, I know that. But you know what? I have a sense of humour. I take the mickey out of myself, like I struggle to pronounce words and stuff like that. But that's who I am. Of course. And I'm okay with it. Authenticity. Exactly. And you know what? It's just, let us just be who we are. We're magical, and we are made of energy and vibrations. You're the third witch that I've had on this podcast. You're the third witch. I've had one of the very first ones I did was a lady from Grantham, and she's called on TikTok something like Heal Holistically,
and she's had fibromyalgia, and she's gone down all the same routes of all the kinds of things we're saying, and she now is an advocate for this and doing that, and she doesn't drink tap water and all of these things. I said to her, then I said, you're a modern day witch. You are what,
yes, I
500 years ago, you'd have been burnt at the stake or
have.
drowned.
Yeah.
And then had another lady on called Alex McHugh. She was on that show Sex Education. Have you watched it?
Okay,
I've never watched it.
No.
She was on that. And she's a modern day witch. She's a colourologist. I'm like, well, what the fuck's a colourologist? So she's walked into the room and she's looked at us and she says, you're purple and green to me. I'm like, what do you mean? She said, that's just your personality, your aura, that's it. And then she starts talking about these things. You're like, yeah, you've literally just explained my whole life and my personality and what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So you're the third witch.
I take that as a huge compliment, by the way.
A huge compliment, because I've had a doctor on a couple of times as well. He's a good friend of mine. He's a junior doctor, recently qualified, and he's a very deep thinker, and we have some good conversations. But to become a doctor, you have to be a very specific type of person who is probably on the spectrum, can memorize things like nobody else, but that's not always conducive for somebody that wants to heal people.
Correct.
And is compassionate and empathetic and will listen to them and have a laugh and a joke. And I think we're coming to a point now where artificial intelligence is so good that your new doctors are not going to be the memory banks. They're going to be the compassionate, kind-hearted people that want to heal. But we've now got this technology that you just go, and it goes, well, this is the diagnosis, this is the kind of thing. And I think that's where we're heading. So people like yourself and people like Alex and people like Charlotte will be the new doctors, because that's what you need. When you're young and you've hurt yourself, you go running to your mum.
Of course you do.
Because she gives you a cuddle and a hug and doctors don't give you that. Do you know what? That's not true. Not all doctors. There are some amazing doctors.
There is some
absolutely
amazing ones.
Brilliant. But the process of becoming a doctor, it's like if you want to be a basketball player, you've got to be 6'5". Yeah. Not everybody's going to be 6'5", but that doesn't mean that somebody that was 5'5" couldn't have been an amazing basketballer. Well, if there was a way of making them they might have been better than the ones that were 6'5". It's a filtering process that you're not. There are certain parameters that mean I can't remember shit like that. I can't do stuff like that. I can't do it. I hated all of that kind of chemistry and whatever. But I am compassionate, and I will sit and listen, and I will, I do want, like you do, the best for people. And that's why I've been a successful tennis coach, because I genuinely want them to become better. I'm not looking at the clock and going, fucking hell, it's 1 minute to 3 now, we better pack up.
You're passionate what you do and you love what you do.
Yes.
So it's just become second nature for me. Like when people say to me, well, God, you do a lot of hours, when do you see your kids? And I'm like, my kids understand that what we do is that what the time that we have is quality time.
How old are they?
I've got Chione that is 14, I've got Biana that's 12, and I've got Vigo that's nearly 11.
They are 3 names I have never heard.
Viking names.
And I've worked in schools with kids forever. So Chione,
yes.
girl, boy?
Girl.
Girl, Chione.
Biana is a boy.
Biana, okay.
And then
is that like BJ?
BJARNE. It should have a hyphen, but the passport office didn't like that, so we couldn't put it on.
Okay.
And then Vigo. VIGGO.
Wow. And they're what, Viking names?
They're Viking
names.
Amazing.
So are you pulled to that kind of culture and that
definitely.
time?
Yeah.
Yes, I can see it.
So they understand, and they're
tattoo. No, your tattoo looks Indian-ish.
Well, no, it's from the barefoot artist Adam. He's amazing. It's you've got the Egyptian eye, and then you've got. Is that the?
Let me look in the middle. Is that symbol in the middle? Is that the Hindu Om Shanti thing?
Yeah. So he's custom tailored it for me for protection.
Wow.
So he's He's a therapist in himself.
So your husband's a Viking then?
Yes, he's definitely, but he's got a boring name. We've got boring names from Michelle Louise and Steve Graham. There's nothing exciting with that. But yeah, no, he definitely is. You know, he keeps us all together and he also works in the business and so on as well.
Does he?
He's a practitioner as well. So
because
he
you're
works in
weightlifter as well, aren't you? And is he?
No, he's not. He's like my PA. He keeps me together. Yeah.
So he's Excel
the one
spreadsheet.
he's carrying my bag,
Yes.
my drink. But you would think it was the other way round. So yeah, he's an ex-rugby player. So yeah, in the day. So
tell us about your training, your weightlifting, and all that kind of stuff.
So basically we're competing next Sunday at Warwick. So I'm competing in powerlifting. So we're going to be doing squats, chest, and we're going to be doing sumo. So yeah.
What's that?
Sumo squat.
Oh, a sumo squat.
Yeah.
You're still going to be doing sumo. I've just got visions of you in one of them.
That's
things.
Yeah, but you know what? That's how my brain works anyway. Of like put everything in the picture.
So that's you lifting something up in between your legs, aren't you? Like
correct.
a really heavy kettlebell or something like that.
Yeah,
people do kettlebell squats, but yours is
a
going to be
big
a bit
bar.
bigger than that.
Yeah, it's a big bar. So,
wow.
Yeah, we're competing next week.
What's your PB on them?
Right, so we went through it all this morning. So 120 in my sumo squat, 90 in my normal squat, and in my chest press is 47.5.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm in Masters 2 as well, so I've gone up a year. Like the
What's that? That's the age category, is it?
Yeah. I'm in the older category.
Since you turned 45.
Yeah.
I became a veteran tennis player when I hit 40. I was like, fucking hell,
I know.
Vets tennis.
You know what? I love it. I think it's awesome because I see some of the others there and I'm like, you know what? I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I'm doing all right. Like, it makes me feel alive. It's just brilliant. That adrenaline that you get from, I'm an adrenaline junkie. So, it's
lifting weights is.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, I started to go through the menopause or pre-menopause at the age of 38. And it's changed everything for me. I changed my way of training and I went through something awful with an accident, which we don't need to go into now. But, you know, I basically down to Rob Thurman at Premier Gym. And Erin and Kat. Erin's my osteopath and Kat was a massage therapist, helped me get to where I am now. So I'm so thankful for them. Because even though I used to teach the way I used to teach and my PT, I had to give it up due to an accident. So, and I had to restart again. So it took me 12 months to learn to walk again. So the fact that I'm able to lift the weight that I do now, I'm proper chuffed.
So was it a spinal injury you had? Yeah,
well, I crushed my cervical vertebrae at the top. I crushed my lower back and I twisted the complete of
lifting
my whole
weights?
back. No, I had a car barrier come down on the top of my head, like you do, when I was 3 months pregnant on the way to court.
What, were you in a convertible or something?
No.
Walking?
No, yeah, walking.
Why the fuck were you walking under a barrier?
The barrier was meant to be out of order and I was saying bye to somebody and somebody pressed the buzzer and it went straight down on my head.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I have to laugh because a lot of crazy stuff has happened in my life, but it's made me who I am.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It could have slashed you in. Wow.
Yeah, but I was strong.
Yes.
I was strong. I lunged into it and I felt like a prat. I just felt stupid. I remember a vet going, "Are you all right?" with her daughter. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then I just hobbled across the road, got to Friar Lane, saw Sally behind reception and I must have been talking gibbly-gop and then got my boss down, Johnny Hermison, and I was like, no. And he went, "We've got to get somebody to court," because I was doing magistrate court with one of my cases. And then I went into automatic pilot trying to ring my dad up. My dad wasn't answering. My husband, my boyfriend at the time, which is who I'm with now, obviously, he's father of my children, wasn't answering. And then I went on the phone and I was rearranging all my chronic clients. So I just. I went into automatic pilot.
And it was one of those thin.
Yeah, my head was like the thing went like that. Yeah.
I mean, that's just so unlucky, because if you'd have been 3 inches further to one side or the other, it would
I
have
was
just,
saying bye at the
it
time.
would have just scraped you down, maybe caught
saying
your
bye
shoulder.
like that, looking over my shoulder, and I was saying bye, and I just lunged into it. It just whacked me. And when I was crossing the road, I didn't
They knock you
realise.
over?
I lunged into it.
Just...
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it's
wow.
exactly what you just did there is what I did. And then I got across the road, and I don't know how I got across the road, but I remember this massive loud bang going off in my head like a shotgun. And I still don't know
what
if
that
was whether that was obviously a delay reaction, but it's amazing what adrenaline does.
Yeah. Yes.
When adrenaline takes over.
Yes. You're superhuman for a few seconds, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because that's ultimately what it's designed for. I need to get away from this saber-toothed tiger, even though my back is broken.
Yeah.
We deal with that afterwards.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That would have been now nearly 13 years ago now. So
Wow.
Yeah, nearly 13 years ago.
So then you were bedbound, were you, I guess, for a while?
I was
couldn't walk.
I was in hospital. So yeah, dripped up on morphine and the house of horrors. We won't go into that because I'll get really emotional. But yeah, and eventually I got myself discharged out, told the physio what it took to get out of there, and got the crutches, lifted myself up, and then I went private with everything.
Did you?
Yeah.
And it was a total game changer, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, changed everything. But I used to have steroid injections all the way down my back. I don't take anything now apart from my CBD. So
That's it.
Yeah, anti-inflammatory, isn't it? So it works. I think that's why doing what I'm doing now and doing the competition, it means so much to me, because I had to give up my fitness career. And it was meant to be, because other things took over. And that was my therapy. Training was my therapy from the outside world, because exercise is awesome. I think it is. I think to work at certain fields, you have to be a rare breed anyway.
Yes.
But yeah, and I think that's why doing next Sunday means so much to me, and why it's so Rob's holding me together to keep me grounded. So I don't use up my nervous energy, and just to believe in myself, to prove what I can do. And I did it this morning, so I'm going to do it again next week. And more. And more.
It's amazing what happens. It's that adrenaline again, isn't it?
Yeah. And I've got people that believe in me. So, and that's love, isn't it, at the end of the day?
That is love, yeah. Yeah, that is love.
So.
Amazing. And I've told it on this podcast too many times now. People will be getting bored of it, but there's a really good story that I love to think about quite often. It's like an old Chinese proverb. Man's living on a farm with his son, his wife, his daughters. One day, the horse runs off. The son goes running back to the dad and he says, "Dad, the horses ran away. That's terrible news." And the dad goes, "It might be good, it might be bad. We don't know." A few days later, the horse comes back with a female horse. The son comes out and says, "Dad, the horse is back. It's brought a female. This is great news, isn't it?" Dad's like, "It might be good. It might be bad." A few days later, the female horse kicks the son, breaks his leg. The villagers are like, "This is terrible news." He says, "It might be good. It might be bad." Boy's laid up in bed. The army come through recruiting young boys because there's a war going on. Come to his house. "Sorry, my son's injured." The sergeant goes up. "Can't go into the army." Everyone's like, "This is amazing. He's the only boy left in the village." Dad's like, "It might be good. It might be bad. We don't know." And that's exactly the story of all of our lives.
Yeah.
We've had shit that's happened to us that in the moment appears like the end of the world.
Totally.
And all of a sudden,
You change it round.
changed everything.
And I think that's what eternal being's all about.
Yeah.
Everything I've experienced in my life, and what people that have meant a lot to me, and certain patients that I've lost over the years due to lots of different reasons, like cancers and stuff like that, or stuff that's happened to them with other medicines that are not here, have imprinted on my heart, and why I've brought things into the clinic, and why I will keep fighting forward to show people the way. And there's an answer to everything. And it's how you facilitate that change. When things are dark, there's light.
Of course. The worst thing in the world that you feel at the time, you look back at it and you go, gosh, that was just a crossroads, and I'm now here. You know, I went through marriage breakup and depression and suicidal thoughts and all of that. I wouldn't be here doing this, helping people out. You know, I get young lads messaging me saying, I've watched some of your videos, it's fucking transformed my life. I was doing this, I was doing that, you know, whatever. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was still in a marriage that was kind of not going anywhere, which happens.
Yeah, it does.
But at the time, it's the end of your world. You know, you're not going to see your kids as much, and you're just thinking, you had this life planned out in your head, and now all of a sudden it's like...
It's been smashed on the floor.
Yeah, you're a different person.
Yeah.
Just, and probably not in as a dramatic effect, but that person that goes to their doctor and is told they've got cancer, from that moment on, their life is never the same again. They're in an alternate universe. And the second your marriage breaks up, or you lose a parent, or you lose a sibling, your life's no longer what it was and what it was going to be. It's now changed. But you have to embrace that sometimes.
And you have to go through that pain.
You have to.
Pain is powerful.
Yes.
Fear is powerful. It's how you rein it in and how you use it, and you use it in the right way.
See the book up there? I bet you've read that one, haven't you? The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
That's me every day.
Yeah.
That's me every day.
I mean, the general premise of that book is we've all only got so many fucks that we can give. And if I'm using them up on things that do not matter, that bloke's just cut me up at the traffic lights, that woman was rude to me. I haven't got an unlimited amount of things to be worrying.
It's nice to be nice.
It is.
And it's nice to be kind.
It is.
It's not a weakness, but people seem to see that it's a weakness.
Particularly with men.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Particularly with men.
Yeah.
You know, I love doing this thing every now and then. Do you know what? I've not done it for a few days, and it's just reminded me. I like doing this thing. I've coined the term a hit and run compliment. And I love going up to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, it might be anything. It might be, really like your hat. Just walk up to them, really like your glasses. They really suit you, and walk off.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and wait for something back.
No.
Just walk off. And people are like, what?
But that's nice.
It's lovely.
That's what I do. I'm like, but people are like...
They're taken aback by it.
Yeah, they're took back by it. Or like, what?
Or they're expecting you to follow it on with,
yeah,
can I get your number or something?
Yeah, there's an expectation that you want something from them.
Why have you... Nobody does that to me.
No, you do it because you want to.
Yes.
Because it's nice.
Yes.
It's nice to make people feel good. If only people realise that.
But it
there's
also
not an
makes
interior
you
motive.
feel good.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, there's not an interior motive.
You walk away from that interaction, you feel amazing.
Yeah.
And they feel amazing.
Yeah.
It's cost no money.
Yeah.
It's just something.
It's free.
It's free.
It's free.
It's free.
And it's everywhere if people allowed it to be.
And then that person will go on for the rest of the day, and they'll do something nice just out of the kindness of the heart. I'll do that. Oh, don't worry about, the little old lady's not quite got enough money. I'll pay for that for you, my love.
Yeah.
There you go. Don't want anything back, and it's so powerful. Before I lose my train of thought, what I was thinking, you keep mentioning something called ozone treatment.
Yeah, so...
What is that?
So, for instance, you were talking about your family, okay? Yeah. So, basically, ozone is... There's all different types. So, the ozone, IV ozone, so we take the blood out and put the blood back in again, so we ozonate the blood. So when somebody has got like chronic fatigue syndrome, or they've got illnesses, cancers and stuff like that, it's fantastic for. You then got like bowel issues. So when somebody can't have advanced colonic therapy, basically if they've got Crohn's, colitis, ozone would be bloody awesome, basically. So you oxygenate
you take the blood out, oxygenate it.
Correct.
Put it, so a bit like a dialysis machine-ish.
Yeah.
Instead of cleaning the...
Yeah. But then you can also do it in the bowel. So obviously you're not going to do IV in the bowel, but so you would do it like an enema in the lower bowel, and then basically then you would oxygenate. So you oxygenate with like a catheter into the colon. The same with the vagina as well. So for instance, when people have got bacteria infections or STIs, or cancer, thrush, all sorts, okay? You can do into the vagina. When people have got hay fever, eczema, problems with the nasal catheters, you can do ozone in the nose, ears as well. It's endless. It's absolutely endless. And that's going to be, I've just qualified in the training in January, end of January time. There's going to be some stuff that's going to be coming out, hopefully at the end of this week. So yeah, and then the equipment will be coming over from Germany to be installed.
So is that putting more oxygen than you normally would get through just respiration, it going into the blood?
Right, so a mitochondria, I can never get the word out, mitochondria.
Yes, mitochondria, yeah.
There you
the
go.
power
Thank
plants
you.
of the cells.
That's it,
Yep.
that's it. So
Yeah.
they die when we get older.
Yes.
Yeah, so we get them going again. That's what we do.
Right.
Yeah. So remember, I've forgotten what his name was. You know the track cyclist years ago that did the IV?
The British, Scottish guy.
I think
It will come to me.
inoxygenated his blood. So before he was competing, he would come off and then they would IV his blood, and then his performance would be better because they were IV in his blood.
Okay.
So you're basically oxygenating the blood. So people start to heal, they start to get better. It's not a tool on its own though. It's got to be used with other stuff. So for instance, if somebody's got cancer, you've got to understand what
Chris
type of cancer.
Hoy.
Thank you. Okay, you've got to understand what it is and treat correctly for that. So the person, for instance, basic Crohn's, you would do basically a medical consultation, check what the treatments and stuff they're having presently, and then treat accordingly to that. So they could have ozone once a week, once a month. Okay, so if somebody's white cell count is down, it's going to increase their white cell count. Get rid of basic funguses, parasites as well is the other thing it does. It's amazing. But we have to call it ozone therapy. We can't just call it ozone in the United Kingdom for the laws that we have here. So if you go overseas and you go to the States, it's called ozone.
Right.
You can just say, and Germany, and Italy. I'm going to be going over to Italy this year. And I'm going to have some treatments and stuff out there. You can also get ozone for injecting as well. So if somebody's got arthritis, instead of them taking painkillers, you do ozone in the joint. And we had 2 physiotherapists that were on the course, and he was a living, breathing act. He was an ex-cricketer. His hands were, and he's able to open his hands now, and that's why he's bringing it in, and his son.
And they're just injecting whatever it is, just
ozone.
straight into the joints.
Yeah, straight into the joints. The ozone.
Is it a liquid form?
It's air form. So you have
Just air.
Yeah, so oxygenated tanks, and then you oxygenate it because remember it's explosive. So basically, oxygenates. We've got a special machine that does it all, like a medical equipment machine that we have.
Wow.
It's pretty awesome. And then we have to have special licenses and so on for the tanks and all the other bits and pieces. There's a lot of work that's involved in it, and engineers that need to come in and do it. But yeah, our equipment comes from Germany. So there's a massive conference that's happening in America in May time, which I'd love to go to, but with my planner at the minute, I don't think that's possible.
Doesn't sound like you're going to be able to make time for it.
But I'd love to go. I can do it on Zoom, so I'm going to see if I can do that. So there's a lot of exciting things that are happening in the clinic over the next year, 12 months.
It's just amazing how many things are going on in different fields and industries that the layman just has got no idea about.
Yeah, so when you ask the question, how do we get trained, you can understand where I stand with that. It depends on which bit that you want to get trained in.
Yeah.
And I believe the whole approach is the best approach, personally. Yeah. It really is. Gut health isn't just one thing. It's not just colonics. It's so much more than that.
Yeah.
And that's why having the right testing is such a key point, scientifically improving it. Instead of somebody saying, God, you're good with your voodoo shit, aren't you? And I'm like, you like my voodoo shit though, don't you? Yeah. Which I take it as a compliment. But, from layman's terms, they don't understand what I do until you come, and then you're like, wow, okay, I wouldn't believe that you would be asking those questions. Nobody's ever asked me those questions. And then I piece it all together, and they're like, wow. So by me having a chest infection and me having food poisoning, I could be depleting in this bacteria. Yes, you're correct. And that's causing my skin condition. Yes, you're correct. So we need to, if you want to, we'll test for that. We'll get it sent away and we'll check that. And then we have a plan. There's always a plan.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Wow. It's quite it's quite scary that people don't realise how negative an impact what you put in your mouth can have on your overall, everything. I mean, my nephew that was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, they said at one point to the doctors, should we look at his diet? And they were like, no, it's nothing to do with the food. And you're thinking to yourself...
Well, I would have took him back to his birth and what type of birth it was.
Yes, because I'm sure you'll correct me, but if you have a caesarean section...
Correct. I know what
if you're born naturally, does the baby take some sort of fluids in that then starts to populate the gut? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm not as simple as I look.
No, I know you're not simple. I wouldn't have come on there otherwise. But yeah, no, totally.
So, and again, and he was caesarean. He was a caesarean.
Yeah. You said it at the beginning.
He was. Yeah.
And then depending on then the history of him as a child, antibiotics, illnesses, chickenpox, measles, how his body recovered, what he was more inferior to get, whether that's tonsillitis, has he still got his tonsils, all of these different things. How fascinating is that? Our bodies are just bloody awesome. But when we start to piece it together, that's when I put the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together. And then I'm able to then advise the person on what I feel that's necessary, and get the right experts in as well, which is what we have in the clinic. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I don't pretend to be, I don't, all right? But when you start to equate all what I do, we're experts.
Yes.
We're experts in our field. And I'll keep learning and learning and learning.
And things change, don't they?
Yeah, massively.
Things change and you have to keep up to date with things.
Ozone's changing all the time.
Yeah. How long has that been a thing, the ozone, in the States?
30 odd years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's something I've never heard of.
No.
Never heard of it. And is
There's
it relatively
reasons why
new?
they don't want you to know that,
Is there?
There's reasons why they don't want you to know that.
Is that because the pharmaceutical companies haven't got it under a patent or something and they're not going to make money from it?
I'll let you make a decision on that.
It's always that, isn't it? It's always that.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I was listening to a podcast. It was a guy called Brett Weinstein. He's a very intelligent professor and he's into virology and all of this. And he said there's information coming out now that when the COVID vaccine was administered, they were told not to aspirate, which means... So essentially the way he described it, and again, I'm sure you'll correct me because you'll know more about this, is vaccines aren't supposed to go into a vein. They're supposed to go intramuscle. So if you put it in and you draw out, which is aspirate, some of the air, if blood comes in, that means you're in a vein. Correct. You have to then go deeper.
Correct.
They were told not to do this because they didn't want anybody having negative experiences whilst having the vaccine that would then put people off. He's saying that is 100% one of the reasons why people then went on to develop myocarditis, brain injury and all of this thing, because it wouldn't have been 0 people that got it straight into a vein. And this is all coming out now.
But also being qualified and trained to do it is a key point, which I have a huge issue with, that there's pop-up clinics everywhere that were administrating, doing stuff.
Yes.
Oh, let's have a free sweetie and a cookie. Sorry for being so cynical.
But,
there was. You've got to be with somebody that's a phlebotomist, that's qualified, that knows what they're doing. That takes training.
Yeah. So do you reckon? I mean, I don't know. Was it just
There's lots of reasons why.
lots of people that just weren't qualified, just doing it?
Yeah. There was, but also, you know, also you've got to realise is that they class. It was a worldwide issue.
Yes.
So rules get changed.
Yes. Corners get cut. Rules get changed. Yeah.
You know, I've had disagreements with lots of people over the years, lots of disagreements with certain things about gloves and cleaning, and I have my set protocols within the clinic, and they were like, but you only need to wear one glove. I'm like, why? Well, you're going to, there's just contradictions constantly all the time. So I think having the best practice is the best way, but what you were saying, that's the problem with us. And then they were administrating things again and again. And instead of sending somebody to the hospital, which is one of the questions that gets answered, if people actually trained and qualified on vaccines, they would have a certificate, which I have. A lot of them haven't. They haven't. So if you administrate it incorrectly, what would you do? Administrate again, get them sit down to 15 minutes. It's a multi-question answer to the question. No, you administrate it again.
I found
it's quite scary, really, isn't it?
It is scary, but I can remember, because I had to.
Yeah.
I had to because I was working in schools, and it was like, I probably don't need it, but I can't work otherwise. So I had the first one, no problem. I had the second one, fine. Not had any more since, and I won't. But I can remember going in to get it and then having it, and then there was a whole area of seats, and they were like, you must sit down there for 5 minutes before you go out if you're driving. I was
Depends
like,
on what they were administrating you, what they were giving you.
I've never ever heard that before, and I just thought, and I wasn't driving. I was walking it was 50 minutes away, and they said, you know, and there was lots of people just sat there after they'd had it, and it was, and it's only now that you think back and you're thinking, I've never heard that before.
Depends on what they were giving you.
Well, they probably didn't know, and they were covering themselves because they didn't want somebody passing out on the, you know, main road outside and running, you know, people over at the bus stop.
Yeah.
Because of I think there was lots of things done wrong. But for sure, COVID was a thing.
Yeah, definitely. You know,
Definitely.
I've lost patience.
Yes.
And you know, whatever people want to believe, I'll allow them to believe what they want to do. But yeah, people died.
They definitely
people died, and people didn't have those rights to go to their funerals. And don't get me on Baroxy, but I mean, you'll be there all day, you know. But it's awful. And I worked with a lot of NHS workers. Yeah. A lot from London, of all things, remotely, and what they were having to attend with was horrific. The masks they were having, not getting toilet breaks, going to, you know, their immune system.
Full fucking hazmat suits.
Yeah,
and stuff
totally.
Like that.
And you know what? That's horrific. And then that all gets forgotten, doesn't it? Everybody was cheering on a Thursday at 7:00.
Like seals.
And now, well, yeah, we're getting on a political one. This won't always go down well, but you know, like, yeah, I think, you know, especially to the nurses and the doctors and what they've gone through, and they should get a pay increase. They should get all of those different things, and other people shouldn't be getting them.
Like train drivers that bring the country to a halt on the 65 grand a year. I think, fuck, you know. But it was really funny times.
But it's forgotten, and it shouldn't be forgotten.
Yeah.
For me, it shouldn't, because there's a lot that are still very, very poorly.
Yeah,
They've got long-term COVID.
Yeah,
and that's to do with their gut biome being out of whack.
I've got a friend who's got it and has been completely unable to play tennis now for about 14 months.
Yes. Get them to reach out to us, seriously.
Okay.
Get them to reach out to us. Let me talk to them.
Yeah.
Go through their history.
Yeah.
And there'll be ways that I'll definitely be able to help.
Very fit, very... him and his wife very much, in the same vein as you, and the food and cooking the right things and exercise, doing that, very, very into that. Contracted COVID a couple of times, and then it's just wiped him out. He can't do anything now. And you're just thinking, that's not a normal thing, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not a life.
It's not a life. He's gone from playing tennis 3 times a week, golf. He retired early, had a very good job, took early retirement. Him and his wife, he started like going out. He's just done nothing for like 12 months. Barely can walk the dog.
Yeah.
So it's not a life. It's not a life.
No, because what's the point?
There's no point, is there? There's no point.
There's no point. So,
and that's then when your mental health starts to deteriorate as well.
Yeah.
Because as it did with you.
Yeah.
You don't see that light at the end of the tunnel, and you're not able to do the things that you once loved and be around the people in those moments. It's all right someone coming and visiting you, but he wants to spend time with Nick on the tennis court.
Yeah.
And whoever over there.
You'd be, different emotions, different feelings, frustration, anger, not feeling alive, sense of purpose as well. Early retirement, how awesome's that? I don't think I'll ever retire because it's the type of person I am, but I'll always be doing something.
Yes.
But, the fact that that's what he wanted to do, to enjoy it with his wife. And that's been took away from him.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. But that can come back. It can come back.
Yeah.
So just get him to reach out and we'll help him.
Then you wonder if that is, because he's had all of his jabs and boosters and whatnot. You just wonder, is that partly to blame?
Well,
I don't think we're ever going to know, are we?
The way that you'll be able to tell is by doing a gut analysis on it.
Yes.
It will. We will be able to tell. We'll be able to see what's going on, what's been destroyed, if any of the testing needs to take place after seeing him, and then take it from there, and also see where he's at as well, mentally, and is he drinking now? Is he eating rubbish? Is he doing all the things to try and feel or suppress himself even more? What medications is he being given from the doctor as well? What illnesses did he have before having those vaccinations as well? Is it destroyed his immune system? We don't know. It's all maybes. So you've got to see it. You've got to see it to make that change. But the fact that he can't even walk.
Yeah. Yeah. There was, I think he's a bit, he went and had hyperbaric chamber stuff and, went into all of that. And it was, just couldn't even go out and walk the dog.
Yeah.
Just potter around the house a bit and just,
But he's got to want to do it as well, is the other thing as well.
Oh, and no, he does. I mean, he's one of the most well-read, well-versed in fitness and nutrition, and he's done the Ironman. He's a super high-achieving bloke with a real vibrant outlook on everything and positive, and reads all the books, and we just ruined him. Just couldn't do anything, and
How old is he?
I want to say no older than 56.
Okay.
But might be 54, 55, 56, mid-50s. So not old.
Yeah.
And, kept himself very, very, and, he used to bring down, Nick, here's some bread that such and such is just freshly baked, or
sounds gorgeous.
Here's a fresh
Smell of
yogurt.
bread, what does that do to your enzymes?
Yeah. Beautiful. It was definitely something that's been out there, but it was a I don't know. We're going to be unraveling stuff for years and years and years, and I don't think we'll ever get to the bottom of it. But
it won't be in our lifetime.
It won't be in our lifetime.
They've made sure of that.
They make sure it's long enough that when people do find out, they're like, yeah.
It's 50 years, actually.
Whatever. Is it? What, until they can release all of the...
Unless they get another thing that goes through the House of Commons, yeah.
So what's that? That's before it can be made public knowledge?
2020, we had an email come through from the Comprehensive Medical Association to let us know that, the yellow card system yellow card system is where vaccines have gone wrong, okay? And it went through the House of Commons that it doesn't matter. The judge and jury is the pharmaceutical companies.
Wow.
So you can only do what you can do. So what we can do is understand and work with that person to see whether there has been a profound effect on them or there hasn't, you know. A lot of people, everybody's fine, you know, and they're vaccinated and then they're fine. But what I would say is, do you still need to be vaccinated is the other thing. If you've had your 2 or your 3, possibly leave it there. Leave it there.
Yeah.
Let your body do its thing, yeah? There's not, you know, your body's an amazing piece of equipment, you know? It's the best computer. If something doesn't feel right, you need to understand what is not feeling right.
Yeah.
And then correct it. Mm-hmm. Instead of just listening to stuff. There's always 2 sides of an argument, okay? You know? And if you're vulnerable, why are you vulnerable? Understand that vulnerability, and well, is that necessary to have certain things into your body? Mm-hmm. You know, some things are important. Things that have been tried and tested for years, definitely. You know, but some things have not, have they? So, and there's been a profound effect on that, which we're seeing, and you know, just seeing young girls that are not having regular periods now in the clinic, it's quite scary. So yeah, that's one of the things that we're seeing. So
really,
yeah,
that's interesting, because I know of a couple of girls that's happening to.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then you just take the food and stuff on top of that, and you know, it's just making people aware of what they're putting into their bodies.
Yeah.
It's like, would you have that? If that was a dirty water and I told you to drink it, would you drink it?
Depends how much you gave me.
There you go. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like, I said, I'm going to give you a cake and £1,000. Are you going to do it?
Yeah, give it
right, there you go.
Fine.
Then.
Yeah.
Different types of people.
Yeah.
We're just all different. And you have to make the right choice for you.
Yeah. And it's exactly what the book says, you know, the Outwitting the Devil. And he's like, I control people through fear, greed, fear of poverty, which essentially is, you know, that's why we've become greedy, fear of illness, fear of not being loved.
Yeah.
It's 5 fears, and you can control anybody with them. So if somebody says to you, you've got to do this, otherwise you're risking your grandma's life, you go, I'll do it. Yep, give it me.
I'm definitely the black sheep.
Yes.
But I've had to be.
Yeah.
I've had to be to survive.
Yeah.
To believe, and people around me to believe what I see. And knowing that when you've been through and you've had bad things and horrific things happen to you, there's a consequence to that. Mm-hmm. Do you fall for that consequence, or do you question? Mm-hmm. Even when I was a probation officer, I remember the psychometric testing, and the senior officer asked me these questions, and he was like, well, you need to answer one of them. And I went, I wouldn't, no, I'm not answering any of it. I won't do any of those things, but you need to. I'm like, I'm not doing any of it. And that's when they put me in the MAP-on team, dealing with horrific crime, or the most complicated, difficult ones. And it was the ICCP, first of all, Intense Change and Control Programme. So, yeah, that was dealing with the 17 to 19-year-olds that were, like, 2 away from, like, they got 2 more chances, otherwise they were in prison, sort of thing. So, the intense stuff. So, the more complicated, the better for me. So, because I'll go, right, okay. Well, let's question that, and then if that's what that person wants, that's their choice, then, isn't it? At the end of the day, but yeah, I question everything, and I think that's healthy. Yeah, I think it is. But in the right way, way.
And I think that's it. It's learning how to think critically, because you get a lot of people that just don't believe anything anymore.
Yeah.
I don't believe anything. And you're like, well, you know, I don't believe this and I don't believe that and I believe this and that, you know, or I don't believe any of it. And you've got to say, well, look, you know, sometimes we have to let the experts, you know, do their thing and take it face value that they're talking the truth until proven otherwise. But then in a lot of cases, they always have been proven wrong, haven't they? So it's, I think some people can get too wrapped up in questioning everything, and it just paralyzes them.
If I don't understand something, that's when I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, that's where my magical powers come in, because my brain works very differently to other people, you know. I struggle with my reading and writing and so on. I have special software. I have glasses to stop my writing moving all over the place, you know.
Is that what they are?
Yeah. You know.
So what? So do you have dyslexia?
Yeah, severe dyslexia, yeah.
So those glasses stop the writing moving?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
So does writing move them for severe dyslexics?
Yeah, well, for me it does. Everybody's different. So like I'll miss words out as well. So I'll read it and I won't see that word. It's mad because if I was to read right to left, like if I turn the book the other way around, it all makes sense because my head's going about 100 miles an hour all the time. Yeah. And because I'm ambidextrous as well, so I can use my left and right hand side, which is great with sport. Really, really good with sport. The information going in is... Boo, my husband Steve is really good at explaining it. He says, well, you're like a computer. So basically it's being processed and you're in a processor. So you're putting everything into your long-term memory. So that's exhausting. That's why I get tired really quickly when I'm learning stuff. I have to do small chunks. So if you keep putting the input in like mega fast, even though I'm working at 100 miles an hour, it's never going to store. So that's how I remember everything in a picture. So like when I came in here, I was like, wow, but I feel safe. It's mad. Like there was lots of emotional things for me and I put it in an emotional picture. So for instance, my PT saying to me about, I'm going to say it right. It's took me 3 weeks to be able to say this. A good morning exercise, yeah?
Good morning exercise.
A good morning exercise. And I say, good breakfast or something. And he's like, no. Like, but I'm putting breakfast because
you're associating that with morning?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's how my brain, when I'm learning stuff, that's what it takes for me to store stuff in knowledge-wise. So when I'm being inquisitive and questioning something, it's not because I'm doubting what that person's saying. It's I'm trying to work it out.
Process it all,
Yeah. And I think that needs to be more of that in people feeling, instead of people feeling, having to use massive big words when you don't need to use massive big words.
You don't even know what it means. It just makes you sound good.
But it's the truth though, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of the time, yeah.
I mean, I'm inspired by people that their English is so amazing, and I'm like,
I love it, yes.
But, you know, I remember my English teacher excluded me from the classroom for saying the wrong word. You know, in the days when we were at school, we had to stand up and...
be humiliated in front of the class, reading out loud.
Yeah. It was the railway children, and they said, you know, it said the dining room, and I didn't think it said the dining room because I'd never seen that before, and I kept on saying the dining room, and the whole class was laughing, and they thought it was hysterical. I didn't have a clue what I was doing wrong, and I got excluded for it.
Wow.
And then I weren't going to read in class anymore. And then you get a chip on your shoulder. Can you see how, like, the conditioned behaviours and stuff?
Yes.
So, yeah, I could talk to you all day. So, but yeah, it's... and that to me is what's wrong with the world in a lot of way. We need to be inquisitive, like that inner child. And we're not. We're tapered down. I don't believe in that.
And it's like doctors, like we were talking about, is a certain type of person that becomes a doctor. So is it with teachers a lot of the time. But sometimes you think maybe we need that quirky person, that thinks totally differently and gets things wrong and says words wrong that actually needs to be up there, rather than Mrs. James with a beautifully eloquent voice and vocabulary that flows, because a lot of kids are like, that's not me. I don't know what dinning room is or a dining room. But when you've got somebody up there that is...
Well, you'll remember some of the teachers at your school that you're shit scared of.
Yeah.
Absolutely bricking it. I remember going up to secondary school and my guts were like, oh, and I didn't even know that I'd got magical powers at that particular time, because my dad used to do my homework, so that says everything, doesn't it? But I was really good at coursework. But yeah, you know, those emotions and feelings. I've got a couple of teachers that really believed in me, and then private tutors and stuff like that helped me see and learn in a completely different way that made sense to me. Those teachers they're gold dust.
They are.
They're gold dust.
They are.
But a lot unfairness is put upon teachers as well.
Yes, it's a thankless job.
Yeah.
And it's now being filled with more
unthankful stuff for them. They're not being able to teach.
They're not. They're doing everything.
Let them take them outside. Let them take them outside.
Yes.
Let them do science experiments.
Yes.
Let's get hands down. You know, sitting down and you're talking to somebody, like, you need to be hands-on with stuff. You'll learn. All children learn in different ways, and then we're expecting little kids to sit still for that amount of period of time. You go overseas and different schools, you know, do forest schools, and they don't go to school till like they're 7 or 8. They're learning skills.
It's amazing that you can
nurturing.
Look at every other industry. It's changed dramatically in the last 100 years.
Yeah, it's all quick fixes.
Everything's changed, but the education system hasn't.
No. As my son said to me, Biana, and I asked him how school was, and we've gone through a lot, you know, I've fought since he was 3 years old. And he said, what do you expect, Mum? It's a prison. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, mate, trust me. Trust me. This will give you power. Mm-hmm. This will give you power. I know it's painful right now, and I can see the glaze has gone over your eyes, but we're going to get through to the other side, mate, because you can make anything happen in this world. You just need to believe that you have the power to be able to feel. Don't let anybody ever take that power away from you. It's dependent on how you control that power, and then you can change things, okay? So believe that.
And how old is he? 14?
He's, Biana is 12.
12?
Yeah.
Tough period of life coming up for him.
Yeah.
Teenage years and high school.
That's why they do so much sport, you know.
Yeah. Have to.
Yeah, they're at HW1. They do mixed martial arts.
Is that where they go?
HW1, yeah.
That's where you go, don't you? And Ben, the other guy that helps out.
He probably knows my children there.
Maybe. Yeah, these lads go there.
But yeah, he's competing in jiu-jitsu in April for his next comp. Yeah, he's because of on a Saturday they were training for 5 hours on Saturday down at HW1. They'll be there tonight. They're there every night apart from on a Friday.
Wow.
So, yeah, all three of them.
A small world.
Yeah, it is a small world. Welcome. Hello.
Yes. And the other lad that's normally here, where is Ben today? Doing something. He couldn't do it. But he goes as well, 2 17-year-old lads. And they've
been going there since, Biana would have been 7. Yeah, Gosh. 7? No, he wouldn't. He would have been 8. Viego was 7 and Biana was 8. So, yeah, when they used to be based at Premier Gym where I train.
Is that where they used to be? Because they're quite recently moved into this unit here, haven't they? Yeah. So do you know Jimmy then?
I know Jimmy, yes. Yeah. I know Jimmy. And Josh and Riley as well. So, yeah, we know them all.
Because Jimmy's a Loughborough lad.
Yeah. Yeah, we went to his fight down at Cage Warriors.
Did you?
Down at the O2, yeah.
Did you?
You'll hear me screaming, yeah. I won't do it, but yeah. And then the music came out too as well. And yeah, we were all there.
Did he win that one? Did he win? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an hard bastard, isn't he?
I love Jimmy.
Sometimes
I was scared of Jimmy when I first met him.
But he just
But
looks...
I also thought,
you don't
wow.
you don't fuck with him.
Like, yeah, I was like, wow. And then, yeah, he's awesome. He's a big cuddly teddy bear. He's honestly, what he's done for my children, and so Riley and Josh and Ella as well. I thank them so much, because down to them, you know, we don't have PlayStation, Xbox in our house at all. Otherwise, I think they would throw each other out the window, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, they train there all the time. So it keeps them on the straight and narrow, and that discipline, massive amounts of discipline.
I think having a mentor, whether it's a jiu-jitsu coach or a tennis coach, you know, because I've had that relationship with people that I've taught for the last 20 years. I think that's having that role model, mentor is so important, particularly for young boys. Yeah. It's really important because, you know, I've had times where, you know, we're doing something with whatever it is, and the parents at the end will say, they would never do anything like that for me, Nick. They don't listen to a word I say. Yeah. But all of a sudden, they're a different child with you, and they listen and they go home and they practice and do all of these things. And a lot of kids don't have that. They have the mum and dad that they don't really want to fucking listen to. And then they have their mates of the same age, and that's it. Yeah. And I think that is super important to have a sports coach in your life.
They proper look up to them.
Yeah,
you know?
they do.
Like, Bjarne was asked to write a piece, or obviously can't write the piece, so he verbally did it, and Daddy wrote it down, and he wrote about Jimmy, and it was about resilience, and yeah, it made Jimmy well up.
Good.
And it was just before his second fight with the Irish. Yeah, you know, but Jimmy is everything that a man should be. And I thank him for the time and the passion and the sacrifice that he's had to take from his own family. I can only understand a little bit of that, because the sacrifice I've had to do to not be with my family, and how my husband holds it together, holds the fort together, whilst I work those long hours to get us where I want us to be, is so important. So I get that, because it was his purpose. And when you have a purpose, it's hard when you're on that purpose to come off that rail, you know? So having those other tools around you, like the clinical hypnotherapy, my training, making sure you have family time, having that, you know, that question that I get asked from my team all the time, how do you get that work-life balance? It's very regimental. Yeah. Like, everything's structured in. Yeah, has everything. To be. But at the same time, that spontaneous thing that my husband is, will throw it in, and I get really pissed. And then I thank him for it, because he gets me back. He needs to have that selfish act sometimes. So yeah, he gets Michelle back.
It's teamwork, isn't it?
Yeah, it is teamwork.
It's teamwork.
It is teamwork.
Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a business, you know, the people around you, it's teamwork. And you have to surround yourself with people that complement you in areas that you don't excel in. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, obviously you're a very deep thinker like I am. A lot of people never even had deep thoughts, and they don't really know who they are, what they want. I made a TikTok video a while ago, and it did some decent numbers on it. And I said something along the lines of, if you had 24 hours to yourself and money was no object, nothing was an object, what would that 24 hours look like? What time would you wake up? What would you eat? Who would you spend the day with? What would you do? What time would you go to bed? What would it be? And loads of people are like, I don't know. I've never asked myself that question.
Wow.
I
visualise all the time.
Yes.
I visualise all the time. You know, to get where I've needed to get, I've had to do that.
Yes.
I've had to do that. Don't get me wrong, I've been in some dark places. Yeah. Dark places. But to pull myself out of those dark places, like we talked about the devil, do the right thing. Mm-hmm. Do the right thing. Come on, get on with it. Consistency as well. Mm-hmm. Pure consistency. And you know what? You do something wrong, you just put it right. You've got to learn from your mistakes.
That's the only thing that we can learn from.
God, we're so in this world of getting everything perfect all the time. And, you know, I have been known to be that perfectionist. I have. But I'm not. And I need to just accept this is who I am, and that's what I've done. That's the joy of being over 40, is having that wisdom in yourself. I'm like, fuck it. No, I'm not. I can't pronounce words. I struggle to read and write. Yes, it takes me a long time to learn, but I'm good. I'm shit hot at what I do.
Really good at this, and this.
Yeah. And I pay the other people to do those things. Exactly. So they're experts in doing what they're doing.
Exactly.
So people question me on certain things. I'm like, no, because I've got the best person for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So I can't answer that question, no. And it's okay.
I know someone that can. Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know...
You don't have to be everything.
No.
And so it's not really necessarily to do with what we were just talking about, but I say to a lot of people, you can be anything, but you can't be everything.
Yeah.
So you choose what it is you want to be, and you can be anything, but I think a lot of the time people try and be everything, and you know, and beat themselves up.
And I've been
if
there.
they're not.
Loads of times, and especially when you're holding your family on your shoulders to getting them through. Does that make sense? You know, having 3 children underneath the age of 5, and they were all planned, and I was working, and it was mental. You've got to be a little bit crazy.
You have to.
And like the kids laugh at me, like, because I'll just get changed anywhere. And they're like, Mom. But like when we were on holiday and the curtains were, we're like, what are you doing? I'm like, she just doesn't care. She's used to getting changed in car parks, for God's sake, to get to one job, to get to somewhere else.
Yes.
Like it's... I laugh about it.
But by doing those things, you've realised that nobody gives a shit what you're doing.
No.
Because they're all so deep in their own mind and their worries and their problems that they go, oh, someone we're getting changed in the car park there. Fuck, you know, what time have I got to be here? And I've got to be there. And it just doesn't matter. Nobody really gives a shit.
Or I do my daughter's heading or my husband's heading, because like if we go to London and not, like, because I originally come from St Albans.
Okay.
So... They'll go Southern people. They're like absolute rubbish, and I'll go on the tube and I'll just talk to people, and it really annoys them. Like not the people I'm talking to, but my kids. And I'm like, it's quite simple. It's quite simple. Snap them out.
Yeah.
Like connect. Just connect with people.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And then it's not a really normal thing for Southerners to do that. That's more northern, isn't it? I think.
Well, I lived up north as well.
Once you get past Loughborough,
yeah. Well, I lived in Laceby and Grimsby for a period of time, so
you've got to talk to people there, haven't you? Because what else are you going to do? Fucking hell.
That was a long time ago, but yeah, I moved here because of my dad. My dad was one of the managing directors of the Leicester Mercury. So,
oh wow.
Yeah. Yes, in the olden days, and they had the big vintage cars and the big presses and stuff. So yeah, I came here in them
in the centre of Leicester, where it still is, the building with the time and the temperature on it.
Well,
that was the Leicester Mercury.
Yeah, I think it's.
It
I don't know what it is. Well, it's not there now. It's a hub now in Nottingham. Yeah, yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's not.
So the Leicester Mercury is in Nottingham.
Yeah,
makes total sense.
And it's a little tiny office and. Keep hitting the mic, sorry.
But who has newspapers anymore?
What's news?
What they tell you is what they want. What's the headline that's going to grab your attention and give you just enough information that you go and buy it.
From the BBC when she was working for the BBC, and she told the truth.
Yeah.
And we were there at 12 o'clock at night taking pictures when we were 3 kids in the back of the car with blankets over the top of them. My dog had killed the next door neighbour's cat. I'd sorted that.
Oh, fuck.
That's called resilience. That's called resilience, to see things through. So, yeah. But life's a story, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
You know? I could have been sitting there with a bottle of vodka in the corner somewhere, but... you know.
I've said to people as well before.
Not that I like vodka, by the way.
It's not good for the gut, Brian.
Yeah. Well, no, it's one of the better options when it comes to low yeast options. So
Is it?
Yeah.
Right, make the note of that.
Champagne,
Get a bottle of vodka on the way
tequila,
out.
gin, vodka.
Tequila's supposed to be the best one, isn't it,
Yeah.
for you? Overall, I don't know. I've heard people talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
in terms of hangovers and things like that. Tequila.
I don't know about hangovers. It depends on what you don't mix it. So,
No.
yeah. We're not emphasising people to drink now.
Don't mix grains and grapes. Has always been something that I've heard in the past. So if you're going to stick on the wines, stick to that, but don't mix grapes
Depends
and
how
grains.
much that person has.
Yes. Which is God, can be one of the guys who was on here, the life coach, is like, most people don't realise that 1 unit of alcohol takes 1 hour to be processed. So you've gone and had 6 pints, you've got 12 units, 14, whatever, if it's 2, it might even be more. That's still in your system 12 hours later. You go home, have 2 hours sleep, wake up, get ready for work. You're still well over the limit.
People don't recognise that.
They don't understand it.
They don't get it. You saw that in probation as well.
But because they're not pissed and they're not in that kind of woo feel.
Yeah.
You're just a bit groggy and.
And the perception to go and eat something and like, no, that doesn't work. You might feel it.
Yes.
But it's not. To get that breathalyzer, you're going to be over the limit.
Yes.
Simple as. Just don't get in the vehicle.
Yes.
It's quite simple.
Yes.
Don't even have the one. Just sort it out. Get somebody to drive you
Get
there.
an Uber.
Or get a taxi.
Yeah, it's easy now.
It's quite simple.
Yeah.
Or get your push bike.
Do you know, this might be a myth. I think you could get done for drunk driving if you're drunk on a bike.
That shows I've not been in probation for a long time.
You can, can't you?
Can you?
Yeah. And electricity. I can understand
scooters,
that. I can understand that. But I think on a bike as well you can be. Drunk in charge or something like that.
Oh dear. Yeah. Just walk then.
Just
walk. Get an Uber.
Just stumble.
Yeah.
Michelle, we've done 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And I'm conscious that I've got to fucking drive to Heathrow Airport today.
No, totally.
But
have an awesome holiday.
Come on again.
I will.
Whenever you want, come on. If you want to come on and talk about your new training, whatever, just come on. You want to bring your kids on, bring your husband on, let's just come on and have a chat.
You've made me feel really relaxed and welcome. Thank you.
Because
I was nervous. Remember I had that.
Yeah, there's nervous shit, But what we do here is the antidote to doom scrolling on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's a 2.5, 3 hour conversation about two people that don't know each other, that got to know each other. And you hear different points of view, different ideas. We've learnt about ozone, loads of, and it's amazing. And the world needs more of this. It needs more people like you. It needs more people that are willing to chase their dreams and their passions and be authentic. Because that's what the world needs. So whenever you want to come here again, do it. If you want me to come down and
I feel quite emotional
have
now.
a look around your business, and I'll make some TikToks. I've got nearly 250,000 followers on my personal TikTok. So I'll come down and we'll promote your vid. Let's do what we can to help as many people as we can. And I always say, and Ben's not here because he laughs at me, but what I really love about what we do here is a stranger walks in and a friend walks out.
Yeah.
So I've now got 42 new friends over the 42 episodes that I can pick the phone up and give them a call, have a chat, touch base with them. I've got 43 now. So thank you so much.
I know, I need to give you a cuddle.
We'll have one.
Cuddles are more important. I like a cuddle.
We'll do it. And we'll get a picture. And then, like I say, you do as you want with whatever's on YouTube. You can cut it, take it, chop it.
Thank you.
You do everything
but thank
you want
you
with it.
inviting me and making me feel so welcome and making me feel safe as well. That's the biggest thing.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. The world's not as bad as everyone makes out sometimes. There are some really good... I want to believe there are many more good people than there are bad. And even the bad people, they're bad in that moment because of something that may have just happened.
Correct.
Or traumas that, that you've gone through. So I think I've only ever met one really evil person in my life. And there was nothing there.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, I've met two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everybody, even the really horrible person that the quite often got that nice side, and if you can just start picking at that thread and unravel it, all of a sudden...
And then it flourishes.
Yes. Yes, it does.
It flourish.
So we have to enable people to be their best instead of putting up these barriers and... Perfect.
You have an awesome holiday.
Oh my God. I've got that to think about now.